Lesson 27. This final lesson represents the lofty pinnacle of self-development which you have achieved in the past 6 months of patient study and practice. Behind you unrolls the steep path up which you have climbed to a broad and sure knowledge of your own triune nature. Before you spreads the ample field of the future in which you are to apply that knowledge. Let us hope that the work thus far has been a happy and successful one whose difficulties have but led to greater victories and whose rewards of added strength, health, and wisdom now fulfill their first function of helping you to survey this field. Great changes are taking place today, both in humanity and on this planet itself. Everywhere new movements are springing up, new avenues of thought opening out, new ideals beckoning to fruition. The wreckage of outworn concepts begins to strew our mental shores as the currents break from ancient channels and seek another direction. People fight for freedom, not always wisely but at least energetically, and at this period their fighting is being crowned with a measure of success. Typical of the general trend is the Great Wave of Womanhood, which has swept its members from their age-old bondage to a position of equality with men. There is a far deeper significance to this than the mere conflict between the sexes. The nature of women is love. Collectively they stand for love, highest of human qualities, because it is the fourth and greatest aspect of universal life energy. Yet throughout the centuries of humanity's evolution, women have been repressed and held in subjection by men, enslaved, bought and sold, at worst no better than cattle and at best scarcely more than servants of a higher degree. Men, on the contrary, are keyed to the second and lesser aspect of universal life energy, mind. Their interest is in the active and aggressive phases of mortal existence. Just as women are by nature prone to manifest the gentle and receptive qualities chiefly characteristic of love, so men derive their greatest satisfaction from the exercise of power, authority, and strength. Proud of their physical vigor and intelligence, it was inevitable that men should refuse to admit or tolerate that another power, love, could share the supremacy of mind. Today women are challenging this attitude. Though civilization has carried its torch to the darkest corners of the earth, the old superstition of female inferiority still clings securely in the minds of at least half of mankind. The rest, with a few exceptions, fight bitterly to prevent women from acquiring equal rights. Yet to the enlightened one who can perceive the fundamental merits of both sides, the eventual outcome is at once apparent. Love, the fourth aspect of universal life energy, is superior to mind, the second aspect. These two numbers not only define the relation between men and women and their corresponding values in the universal economy, but represent also their respective natures. 2 signifies duality, strife, restlessness, dominant traits of the male nature, while 4 symbolizes unity, harmony, peace, fundamental traits of the female nature. But 4 embraces 2 and is greater, whereas 2 can never expand itself to the larger dimensions of 4. The reason 2 has been able to assume dominion over 4 in the relation between the sexes is because women have not made use of their full complement of powers to stop the aggression. Unaware of the fact that love becomes strong in expression only through the equal development of other factors within it, notably mind, they contented themselves with the passive and receptive side only and left to men the livelier field of active accomplishment. Men, on the contrary, finding the mental phase of their nature sufficient to maintain their supremacy under these circumstances, emphasized its development without troubling to cultivate the refining influences of their latent love qualities. Now women are beginning to perceive their mistake and correct it by invading the field so long tamely abandoned to men. They are developing physical strength and energy, mental efficiency and power, qualities formerly claimed by men as attributes of the male alone. In schools and colleges, libraries and private homes, this training is rapidly going on, and in the business, political and artistic worlds its effects are becoming forcefully apparent. There is scarcely a department of male occupations that women have not successfully entered in modern times, and not one, from the subtleties of politics to the hard physical labor of farms and factories, where they have not demonstrated their ability to compete on even terms with men. Even in athletics, their rising star rivals and brightness the masculine luminaries, while in matrimony the modern girl exercises her own selection instead of abiding the choice of parents or suitors. The challenge has been carried directly to man. He must meet woman on her own ground or perish from his seat of power. Just as woman has invaded his domain of mind, so must he seek a compensating gain in her domain of love. That is, he must develop out of his own nature the neglected love qualities which he has hitherto considered the exclusive province of woman, in order to keep pace with the growth of women through their development of mental qualities formerly resigned to him alone. Otherwise he will soon witness a transfer of balance as deplorable as that which existed when the bulk of weight and authority were concentrated on his side of the scales. Women will outdo him in the very field where he has been accustomed to lead, and because he has acquired nothing to counterbalance the gain, he will see himself reduced to a position of inferiority similar to that once occupied by women. Such a shifting of the balance from the scale of mind to the scale of love would be a change devoid of profit. The same inharmony as before would still prevail, only turned end for end. The single condition productive of mutual harmony and happiness is one of equilibrium, in which the two great divisions of humanity enjoy an equal balance in development and power. But to promote this condition, man must do his part. He must see the situation as it actually is and appreciate the problems which the growing wave of feminism brings up before him for solution. Once he clears his vision of the ancient prejudice which yet clings to obscure it, he will be in a position to gauge accurately the conditions and perceive intelligently the measures necessary to adapt himself to the new state of affairs introduced by the advent of this great world factor, love. These measures are not outside ones. They are within the individual, where the shortcomings are. Men must realize the lack of development in their love natures and supply that lack by cultivating such qualities as honesty, charitableness, sympathy, patience, and gentleness in their general human relation, even among their own kind. They must seek beauty in nature, music, the arts, to feed their higher interests, and not let their attention be wholly absorbed in the grosser pursuits of life, such as gathering money and power into their hands. And above all, they must rid themselves of the false concept which prompts them to see harshness as strength and refinement as effeminacy. Refinement is strength enhanced and tempered by culture. It is one of the highest attributes of real manhood. Effeminacy is simply weakness and shallowness, proceeding from absence of strength, and is no less disgraceful and out of place in women than in men. A man who fulfills the demands of manliness in the true sense of the word can never be afraid of appearing effeminate. Strong in body, broad in mind, high in aspirations and energetic in action, he will nevertheless be gentle and refined without dreading a possible misinterpretation of his attitude, because he is conscious within himself that he can never be less than a man. But the pretenders who try to dissemble their fear of appearing effeminate behind a harsh and uncompromising manner are merely hiding the shallowness and poverty of their natures under a mask of arrogance, roughness, and conceit. Great men throughout history demonstrate the truth of this distinction. Wherever a reasonably impartial picture of their characters has been handed down, it reconstructs before our mind's eye the image of great souls, strong yet gentle, complete spheres manifesting equally both male and female qualities. Their might to vanquish enemies was no less amazing than their might to win the hearts of friends, but the secret of their influence over the rest of humanity lay in the inner equilibrium they possessed within themselves, where mind and love worked hand in hand for the common good. Today, the course of evolution is lifting all mankind a little nearer to the greatness manifested by famed leaders past and present. The power of love, surging with a quickened beat through the whole race, is beginning to eat away the discrepancies in their individual natures by which their lack of balance was measured. A fresh access of life and strength, like the first rays of the morning sun, writes on the dark horizon of their consciousness its glowing promise of a new day about to dawn, a day of power, of knowledge, of justice, peace, and happiness. When that day will have risen, the present race will no longer reign supreme. It will have yielded place to the sixth race, the race of masters, who are the real lords of creation and who will then rule also this planet. At present, humanity is suffering the birth pangs of this new era. Unrest of every kind pervades the earth, domestic strife and troubles, wars and revolutions, famine, pestilence, earthquakes, storms, and tidal waves. Nature itself seems to be severely infected with the discontent that agitates men and nations. Yet never in the history of mankind has there been such a period of meteoric progress in every constructive direction. On the one hand, therefore, is a marvelous development and increase of the good, while on the other hand evil seems to multiply at an equally astonishing rate. Crime and destruction were never so rife as now. The entire movement of humankind has been accelerated in both directions, events spin by with an extraordinary rapidity. The average individual lives more in a day in modern times than his not very remote ancestors lived in a decade. But if the evil keeps pace with the good in its growth, where does the advantage lie? Evil does not keep pace with the good. On the contrary, there is less real evil today than ever before, because people are eliminating from their systems the evil which in other times has been pent up within to breed and fester. Stirring up this latent deposit, bringing it to the surface and dumping it, has naturally brought more of it into evidence, but leaves less of it in fact. Do not be deceived and discouraged by the murky hue this process lends to the outlook for the time being. Humanity of today is incomparably better than the humanity of days gone by and is becoming finer and nobler with each passing moment. Contrast the general conditions of life and standards of living with those of the past generation, and you will realize how great has been the inner improvement, individually and collectively, of which those conditions are the outer expression. Higher standards in every direction, ampler powers, greater knowledge, and finer morals are the invaluable assets of modern humanity. If these results are won in the face of darkness, what will the future hold when the clouds have been dispelled and the night yields place to a clear new day? That this day must arrive is inevitable. Progress is the law of eternal evolution. All things, from the smallest to the greatest, are subject to that law. Individuals and nations, electrons and worlds respond equally to its dominating influence. In this knowledge, so vividly proven in a comparison of yesterday with today, rests your assurance that mankind cannot fail to achieve the goal looming in prospect. Throw off the despair that may assail you when conditions appear too hard to bear or the time too wearisomely long to wait. In the darkest hours of your life, when the stress of circumstance is at its crisis, you have a light to guide you and a strength to help you support the burden. Universal life energy, that wonderful power vouchsafed to mankind, is always ready at hand to answer your call, an ever-present help in time of trouble, an ally never loath to come at your summons and lend its invincible strength to fight and win all your life's battles. Do not forget it, use it always. You need it. Especially now will you require it more and more every day in order to achieve success in the midst of failures, to retain confidence amid discouragement, strength amid weakness, happiness and poise amid sorrow and disturbance. It is the aspect under which the great law of the universe offers itself to you, the fount of everlasting waters, of life, crying out to humanity, "Come unto me, all ye who are thirsty, and I will give you to drink." The great law is never absent and never idle on this earth or elsewhere. It is continually seeking new channels for its expression, new mouths to carry its message to suffering humankind. It speaks through the lips of leaders of men, through scientific discoveries, through better laws, artistic achievements, the living word and the printed page. This course is a printed medium through which it is conveying its message to the world, the message of life, light, liberty, and love. Wherever it finds an open mind and a receptive heart, there its mission is fulfilled. Humanity has for countless ages lost sight of its place in the universal scheme. It has believed in its own separation from the universal power. Yet unity is the law of the absolute. The universal is all there is, and you are one with it. This lesson humanity has to learn quickly. The time is not far off when a conscious knowledge of it will be essential to individual progress. It is not easy to recover an idea so long completely buried in forgetfulness, and the beginning is to bring about the reunion first through that part of our being which now seems the most real and substantial to us, the physical body. By becoming consciously one with universal life energy on the physical plane, humanity will pave the way for the next great step, the mental union, and finally for the last crowning stage in the progression, the realization as an eternal fact of the spiritual or soul oneness with that power. You who have taken this course, who are able to apply now in your daily life the knowledge imparted through these lessons, who are able to become consciously one with all power and who realize the immeasurable value of that contact in helping you to achieve health, success, and happiness, do not selfishly keep the knowledge for yourself alone. Open to others the glad way you have trod. Tell them of that infinite power which will refresh and renew their lives and amplify their powers as it has done yours, and of the knowledge contained in these pages of how that universal force can be contacted and used practically in daily life. This work is exclusively humanitarian. Its object is to help humanity come into its own. You, as a member of the great human family, will help yourself only in proportion as you help others. Therefore, carry out the purpose of this lesson in its broadest humanitarian aspect by spreading these teachings among your friends and fellow beings. In so doing, you will be seconding the efforts of the author, whose energy and knowledge are not alone placed thus at the service of his fellow men, but who is reinvesting in the work its financial proceeds in order to spread its enlightening influence as far as possible among mankind. As he is making a constant and personal effort to bring this knowledge home to you, so must you make a corresponding effort to acquire it. Then teach others to do likewise. This is a personal course, not intended to be lent or given to others. Having been through it, you are aware of the necessity for acquiring it through your own efforts in order to value it and profit by it properly. You made the effort, let others do likewise. No one obtaining it without making the equivalent sacrifice will derive the benefit from it, nor will they escape paying the price in their own characters, though perhaps not in actual cash. They will have violated the law of compensation, and laws of nature permit no violation with impunity. The value you get out of anything is the value you put into it. All things in this world have a certain valuation, high or low in proportion to the effort and sacrifice you have to put forth to obtain them. It is a well-known fact that the higher the price you have to pay for something, the greater the obstacle you have to overcome to possess it, the dearer it becomes to you and the more benefit and satisfaction you derive from it. So for the advantage of those whom you wish to help and enlighten, tell them of this course and what it did for you, but also impress on them the necessity for acquiring their own copy of it. Thus you will be benefiting both your friends and yourself by observing the principles explained in these teachings. Exercises. Continue to practice the star exercise regularly, morning and evening, all the days of your life. This, with relaxation, silence, and the mental contact with universal life energy, forms the vital foundation of all that you can hope to do in your life with the help of that power. Then, whenever you feel the need of a specific exercise, choose it from among the number given you and through it apply the life current to the strengthening of whatever part of your nature you think requires it most. Bear in mind always that this course is first and foremost a practical one. It is to be lived. Perform its exercise daily, maintain a real living interest in the progress you are making through its help, and you will obtain real living results. The special exercise for this week, culminant one of the entire series, and for that reason most advanced of all, is spiritualization. In order to practice spiritualization, proceed as follows. After you have relaxed, entered into silence, and made the contact with universal life energy, concentrate your thought on spirit, on the supreme ideal. Do not try to give it concrete form and outline in your imagination. That is impossible. Perceive it only as the ideal, as spirit, an abstract concept personal to each individual, and feel your oneness with it. Rise through inspiration into complete identity with it, shedding all consciousness of your limited human self, your human desires and aspirations. Then gradually release yourself even from thought itself. Let your whole nature dissolve into an exquisite atmosphere of feeling. Sense through every fiber of your being the supreme power surrounding you, protecting, strengthening, and refreshing you, pulsating with an ever quicker and fuller beat within you. Cast loose the last thread of remembrance connecting you with mundane things and entrust yourself wholly to the gentle tide of that power. Soon an extraordinary sense of wordless happiness, peace, and strength will flush with living light the inner darkness in which you dwell. Sorrow, discontent, discouragement, all the somber shadows which thicken within the confines of your human life, will melt before the sun of utter harmony which dawns in placid splendor upon you. You will have attained the highest it is possible to attain in your present state of human consciousness. You will have become, for the time, consciously one with the ideal, with spirit, and you will have drawn into your life from each of those contacts such attributes of that ideal as can be adequately suggested only by your own individual experience. Mind alone cannot convey any idea of them, it is too limited. They are of spirit, and like spirit they surpass all understanding. Questions and answers to Lesson 27:1. What is the motive responsible for the agitation and unrest among the people of today? The motive responsible for the agitation and unrest among the people of today is desire for freedom. 2. What movement most vividly illustrates this motive? The movement that most vividly illustrates this motive is feminism, lifting women to equal rights with men. 3. What is the deeper significance of the conflict between the sexes? The deeper significance of the conflict between the sexes is the conflict between the love principle, represented by women, and the mind principle, represented by men. 4. Why have women until now been held in a subordinate position by men? Women have until now been held in a subordinate position by men because they did not develop the mental side of their natures and were therefore unable to express strongly enough to compete on equal terms with men, in whom the mental side was overdeveloped. 5. How are women proceeding to do away with this distinction? Women are proceeding to do away with this distinction by developing themselves physically and mentally and successfully invading occupations formerly restricted to men alone. 6. What will be the result if men fail to make the proper countermove? The result, if men fail to make the proper countermove, will be that the relations between men and women will be reversed, women dominating and men occupying an inferior position. 7. What is the proper countermove? The proper countermove is for men to develop the neglected love qualities of their nature in proportion as women develop the neglected mind aspect of theirs. 8. What is the difference between refinement and effeminacy? The difference between refinement and effeminacy is refinement is strength enhanced and tempered by culture, while effeminacy is weakness proceeding from shallowness and poverty of character. 9. Explain the alarming increase in evil today. The alarming increase in evil today is due to the fact that modern people stir up and bring to the surface to be cast off the latent evil that used to be repressed. 10. How does modern humanity contrast with the humanity of the past? Modern humanity, contrasted with humanity of the past, shows the vast improvement and progress of the race in every direction, manifesting itself in better conditions of life, higher standards, greater powers, more knowledge, and finer morals. 11. What infallible recourse have you amid the trying times in prospect? Your infallible recourse amid the trying times in prospect is universal life energy. 12. Has your study of this course carried to you a sincere conviction of your duty to others with reference to it? Has your study of this course carried to you a sincere conviction of your duty to others in reference to it?